Greetings, Internet! Welcome to not the Daily Show, the Comic Watchers Show. We're your hosts. I'm Matt, and this is Mike. We are coming at you with our 170th episode this week, if you can believe it. 170, wow. Man. I know. It's craziness. We're coming to you as the world burns and democracy dies. In a hailstorm of bad SCOTUS decisions and memes to compensate, and but that doesn't mean that we can't talk about cool things like Star Wars. So that said, man, Obi-Wan Kenobi, the little Star Wars show that could, said no one ever. It wrapped up last week, and it really wrapped up pretty beautifully. It kind of, and I mean, we're going to get into a lot of this stuff, but just broadly speaking, I really enjoyed the hell out of this show. It filled a gap in Obi-Wan's story that I didn't know I needed filled. Hadn't really thought about. Mike, what did, just broadly speaking, what did you feel about Obi-Wan Kenobi when it was all said and done?
It was long overdue. I mean, like you said, here's, not many, iconic characters go this long without, I don't want to say a swan song, but almost a POV, if you will, kind of tell their experience, their story, and you can really dig into it. But yeah, I mean, long overdue from be it the shows, the books, whatever. Yeah, definitely, because and it's like you said, I didn't know that I needed an Obi-Wan series until I got one. Yeah, and now apparently my life was incomplete.
It was
Obi-Wan series, and now I'm good to go.
Yeah, life is over. You could get hit by a bus tomorrow and be good. All closure is made. But I'll tell you, here's, Ewan McGregor, obviously, and I'm going to borrow one of your terms, just iconic in that role as Obi-Wan. And to come back almost 20 years later to it, when he's sufficiently aged into the role, and if we put a little bit of get in the gray in his beard and hair, he would have been not a far off ringer for Sir Alec Guinness. But he was always, to me, when you go back to the prequels, and we must,
sure,
he was, to me, always the actor who truly seemed to be having fun with his role. I mean, one of the common and just dings on the prequel trilogy is the acting is really wooden, right? And it is. Sure. George Lucas does not know how to direct actors.
No.
And there's so many scenes there where it's so obvious that they're acting in front of a green screen and they're reacting to like a tennis ball and doing the best they can. And just, maybe if it was a director that knew how to direct actors, it would have worked better. But throughout there, excuse me, there's Ewan McGregor. He's young and a Padawan. He's got that silly little rat tail, and then he's a Jedi Master, and then he's a Jedi Master with a beard. And throughout the trilogy, he, to me, has always been the actor that's just the one that's the most compelling to watch. The one that least feels like he's just standing there reading his dialogue.
Right.
And so it's great to get him back in that role, again, almost 20 years later. Yeah. And in the role, in the capable hands of directors that know how to direct actors, and they're giving him good introspective material to work with, right? And I'll
Absolutely.
tell you, Mike, the moment that got me, and it was at the end of the second episode, is the cliffhanger of that episode where Reva tells Obi-Wan that Anakin is still alive. And it never, I've been watching Star Wars my entire life. It never dawned on me that there would have been an interregnum in there where he would have just presumed, obviously, after Mustafar, that Anakin was dead. And I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Because now he has to face that failure. And I mean, from that moment on, you know what it's leading up to, right? You know we're going to get the balls out Obi-Wan versus Darth Vader fight.
Well, the one, and I was going to mention that that was that part. I think you said what it was 2 or 3, where well, I think it was 3. Either way, it was when the Empire found the village, and Darth is looking for him and everything. And that look on Ewan's face was like you said, all right, now I gotta face this.
It's fear. It's
right, and that switch, right, and that switch, and everything switched with it. The writing switched, his attitude, the way he conducted himself with the role, everything switched with that in that moment, and that's what made that just that much more phenomenal and strengthened this whole series, because it made you care about characters even though you knew nothing bad was going to happen to them. You got behind them for their call. You kind of like rallied with Obi-Wan again. It was almost like a reintroduction to the character.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, and we're going to have to take it all the way back to A New Hope briefly.
Sure.
When we get to A New Hope, when we started A New Hope, I guess, Obi-Wan, he's made his peace with things. He knows who Darth Vader is. He knows he's Luke's dad. But there's this sort of weary resignation, right? And he knows, and that was accurately reflected in this series. He has to do what he can to protect Luke from ever becoming his father, and to protect him from his father.
Yeah.
And if you're just looking at it from the end of Revenge of the Sith to the beginning of A New Hope, you can make that case that, okay, he transitioned from the events of Mustafar to the events of A New Hope naturally, right? It just happened. He got older. It's been 20 years.
Right. Easily done, easily forgettable, sure.
Yeah, of course. But to really have and this is a story that, I mean, honestly, it could have not been told, and we would have been content. We were, like you and I have both just stated, we were content not knowing we needed this story, right?
Because it was a character that you thought about because you need him for the story.
Yeah.
But you never thought about his experience or what he went through and his...
Exactly. His emotional arc is directly linked to his failure to Anakin.
Right? Absolutely it is. Yeah, it's one of the same.
And this took that arc and was able to extrapolate upon it and add layers of depth to it that I think frankly many fans just never knew they needed or what would want. And it never felt forced, at least in terms of Obi-Wan. We're going to get to a part of the show here in a second, and you can probably guess what I'm going to lead up to, where it did feel a little forced. But, like my son, bless him, he's 21, and he thinks he knows everything. Because, when you're 21, you know everything. You know them.
You get a certificate.
I knew everything at 21. I don't know about you, sir. But,
I hated 20s.
Yeah, you and me both, but probably for different reasons. But, he's like, well, I enjoyed it, Dad, but
Mm.
was it necessary? Did this show need to exist? I can tell he's been listening to YouTube, but and he comes at it with such conviction. But let's really pick it into that. Did this series need to exist? Well, no, we've kind of established that.
Right.
But you know what? Does any story need to exist?
Right. Did we need the Clone Wars animated series? Did we need Rebels? Turns out we did need Rebels. You know what I mean?
Did we need the Bad Batch? Yes.
Yes, we did need the Bad Batch.
Did we need Ewoks, the Battle for Endor? Probably depends on your estimation of Ewoks as a voting block. But
like
my point is, any story can or cannot be disposable, for lack of a better term, just depending on how well it's done, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
In another world, one Fast and the Furious movie was enough, but now there's like 33 of them.
And they're all about family.
They're all about family.
All about the family.
Oh, yeah. And obviously, somebody is really enjoying what these movies are doing because they just keep putting them out and they just keep getting sillier and sillier with them. And I think in the last one, they drove a car into space. And
we sent Jason to space. Why not? Yeah.
But these things are on the one hand very relative,
yes,
to the viewer, right? But it's also about the caliber of storytelling. Like Obi-Wan Kenobi, I think, had a really high caliber of storytelling because it dug into its main character's psyche, his failings, his need to confront those failings.
Well,
like,
I'm
eating up most of the air.
No, no worries. But instead of the writing, I think needs that equal amount of almost chef kissness, if you will, because to step in the world of Star Wars is so hit or miss. You're either going to be loved or you're going to be hated. But realistically, if you're going to be hated, you're probably doing something right anyway. But to take the beloved character, the icon, right, Cornerstone, he was the glue that held the prequels together, right? If there's no
I think there's a fairer thing to be said that Obi-Wan is the moral compass.
Yeah.
For the prequels.
Yeah. And to take that and tell that story 20 plus years later, and dare be bold enough to recreate the lightsaber scene at the end of 6, and to make you care about these characters, to bring the Grand Inquisitor on screen, to I mean, come on, it's like, and then borrowing, another thing they borrowed from Rebels is the slice on Vader's helmet, and to get you to care about all this stuff and wrap it all up in a bow and hand it off. It's like, this series is such great fan lip service. It literally has everything, and it even bolsters the prequels. It's that story again. Did we need the Obi-Wan series? We didn't think so, but we do. But it also is the perfect side dish to the prequels. Now that makes the prequels that much more interesting.
Yeah, that's actually, I like that you say that, because that's actually an interesting trick that I think the Star Wars folks picked up from the MCU side of the house, where something new casts something old that maybe isn't as well loved in a new light, and we start rethinking it. And I mean, I'm instantly thinking about how WandaVision got us rethinking about Age of Ultron, right? So I mean, it is additive. Obi-Wan is additive in that regard, I think. Very good point. It was a little awkward seeing 40-year-old Hayden Christensen stepping back into his Padawan days. Uh,
Oh no.
the 40-year-old Padawan, as one meme I saw said. But I mean, whatever. Who cares?
He never left Ma's couch.
But man, I'll tell you what, I want to really get into how great he did as Darth Vader.
Yes, especially at the end.
The
You know,
end, that thing they did after his helmet's busted and his voice keeps modulating between James Earl Jones and Hayden Christensen is awesome.
Isn't that amazing? Such a good shot.
Such an awesome touch.
Yeah.
And yeah, oh my gosh, I love it.
Well, just
love it.
The raw emotion between two characters at that end, and then to see Obi-Wan's face. I mean, Ewan McGregor played that part to the T. I mean, where his eyes just, they slowly open, his jaw
Yeah,
just
he can see his friend's face. Like, this is the hideous thing that I dismembered and set on fire with lava and left to die. Like, this is what he's become.
Yeah. We make Thanksgiving really awkward, but
by the way, your wife died of sadness. What do you think now?
You suck at life.
You suck at love.
Yeah. You're a bad person.
And you apparently suck at child murder because all of those younglings got away.
Right.
And a couple episodes ago, we talked about Reva and just what the hell is wrong with Star Wars fans. I have to say, I had guessed early on that she had been one of the younglings that got away. But I feel like the reveal on that was a bit forced because she does some pretty shady stuff. Pretending to be one of the bad guys so she can get close to Darth Vader. Like, one, that's a really, really, really complex plan. Like, I'm going to work my way up through the ranks of the bad guys, the Grand Inquisitors, by doing all kinds of awful fucking shit, so that, including trying to hunt down a Jedi Master and child kidnapping, just so that I can get close enough to Darth freaking Vader, to murder him and hope he doesn't see me coming. The most powerful Sith in the universe.
I'm just gonna sneak up on him.
Yeah, no. Like, that was a little forced. But that all gets a pass because Moses Ingram, super great in that role, as we discussed a couple episodes ago. And quite frankly, just in light of all the bullshit that actress has had to endure from the shittier side of Star Wars fandom, she gets extra props. That's all I'm going to say. For sure. And I actually like the idea of the Empire having Inquisitors as a kind of secret police.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense, right? Like, of course the Empire has brown coats. And not the Firefly kind. Yeah. But it also kind of creates a little bit of a continuity issue, because if you've got the Inquisitors running around at this point, why do we never see them in the original trilogy? So it goes, right? Yeah. I mean, you could say, oh, well, the story just didn't call for him, but they're pretty clearly represented as a major force, so to speak, of the Empire in this series.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even in in Rebels, I mean, they had their own, kind of like their own thing and stuff like that. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, it's a very minor quibble.
Right. Yeah. It's more of like, stuff like
that.
Is
honestly, it's fanboy nitpicking. Is exactly what it is. Like, I had a couple other fanboy nitpicks in there too, and I'm just gonna throw them out there because it's our show and we can be silly and nitpicky if we want. And here's the thing: I'm not gonna sit here and scream into the void of the internet and dox people and tell them they should kill themselves over minor continuity errors. But
it's one thing if you go, where's the Inquisitors in A New Hope? It's another thing for you to like go, I'm just gonna terrorize you on social media because Mod took away the
Truly,
Wi-Fi.
truly.
Yeah.
But so by this time,
Yeah.
the stormtroopers should still all be clones of Jango Fett.
Yes.
Yes.
Easily. Yeah.
Yeah. But yet we have stormtroopers with different voices and personalities. So okay, super nerdy nitpick, whatever.
Sure.
Who cares, right?
But kind of valid in a sense.
I mean,
Valid
it is, but
in a constructive criticism way. It's not like, you're going, oh, I'm burning everything Star Wars. They ruined
yeah. And then oh god dang it, what was the other thing? It was the same episode. Oh, it's the episode where Vader and Obi-Wan first meet.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that they meet in this series, and this is actually a somewhat more serious, that's relatively serious, continuity mistake, is the very fact that Obi-Wan and Darth Vader meet in this series means that in A New Hope, when Darth Vader says, when last we met, you were the student and I was the student and you were the master.
Right.
That implies they hadn't met since Mustafar. So now that line doesn't make sense. But I mean, whatever.
Once again, big difference and us kind of talking about the the minor continuity oopsie daisies that being completely thinking that Kathleen Kennedy and all those other cats owe us anything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Like, that's actually a really great point. Go on. We bitch about that for a while.
Sure, we buy this. Sure, we buy the stuff, and sure we, we'll probably, whatever. It's like even bad Star Wars is like bad pizza. It's still good in some form. But it's different if you take your entitlement a little too far to the point to where it's like you almost want to tell them like go do something else. Go find, because apparently you're not happy.
Outside.
Yeah.
Go watch Star Trek.
Right. Yeah.
Go masturbate. I don't care. Like, find something else to do.
Yeah. Like, and quit jumping on people because they find, Moses Ingram cool, or they like, they like, Chuck Taylor's on Chewbacca or something like that. Who gives a shit? Awesome. Right. All of a sudden, I want to go watch.
Wookiee wore tennis shoes.
Scott Howard or something. But yeah, I just like. Okay, there's Chad. There we go. But yeah, concentration broke. But yeah, it's different if you like you said, you're constructively, talking about stuff, and you're still allowing people to dig what part of the fandom they want to dig. Huge difference.
Absolutely. And here's the thing. I don't remember. I read this somewhere recently. Somebody famous said this, and for the life of me, I wish I could remember who to attribute it to. But continuity is there for the big stuff.
Yeah.
If you're getting hung up on like minor shit from comics that were published 50 plus years ago, just go away.
Yeah.
Just go away. It doesn't matter. Okay. And the same is true with Star Wars.
Yeah.
The same is true with Star Trek or any of these Doctor Who, any of these decades deep fandoms that have all of those possible and probably likely opportunities for the continuity glitches. It's going to happen.
Sure.
One of our reviewers on the site, whom I love for his deep lore of Fantastic Four, but he gets so bent out of shape over the most minor continuity bloopers, and I'm like, dude, if you're a good writer and so knowledgeable, I'd probably But what, whatever.
Right. No, I totally get it.
Getting hung up on that minor stuff like that is at least in part how toxic fandoms are born.
Yeah, and all it does is it takes that new generation and it kind of scares them away.
Yeah.
You know.
Like, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, who cares if you probably, I'm sure there is a generation of fans that are more into the prequels than they are with the stuff that we. I'm sure there's people that even look at the super duper remastered with
Greedo shooting first.
Well, that and then Jabba walking over, Han, all that stuff. I get that. They're probably looking at this and going like, "Oh, these are horrible. Oh my god, it sucks." And then you got some neckbeard going, "Oh my god, you don't know who Milk is. Oh my god!" Like, who gives a shit? It doesn't matter. Let people enjoy and jump on what part of the fandom they want to.
Exactly, man. Like all those Star Wars fans our age and older that were crying about how the prequels ruined their childhood. You know who doesn't say that? People that were actually kids when those movies were coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Lucas knew, and I hate to give Lucas credit because those movies have a lot of problems, but Lucas understood I need to make these movies for the next generation of fans and not a bunch of snotty fan service, right?
I still love when the midichlorians came out.
Yeah,
oh my god,
that's do a whole episode on just my issues with the Phantom Menace. Just Phantom Menace. It would be a double length episode. But you know what? It's Star Wars, and I'm still gonna sit there, open a brewski, pop some popcorn, and enjoy it. Yeah. Despite its flaws. Because I just love Star Wars at the end of the day, man.
Right. And the thing is, I talk shit out of all the stuff. It's like you're going, "Oh, here we go. Greedo shooting fire." But I'm still, like you said, I'm still shoving food in my maw and on Star Wars. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know. I hate the entitlement that, and especially with social media, it's like, oh, you owe us something, or no, you don't. Go do something.
They really, really don't owe you shit.
They owe you shit. Because they're not forcing you to buy into their medium or into their fandom.
Exactly.
Go be a fan.
Yeah. Like they've already got your money.
Yeah.
So, the other big point of contention, well, maybe not contention, but just big talking point that I think we have yet to touch on is itty bitty Princess Leia. And so cute.
Yeah.
But you want to talk a little bit about the narrative feeling a bit forced. I think wedging a young Princess Leia into the narrative is probably that inflection point. And the actress did a great job.
Nailed it, yeah. 100%.
I think it would have been so easy for Deborah Chow to have been going through the casting on this show and been like, "Hey, little girl, do your best Carrie Fisher impression."
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't do that. And I feel like an ass because I don't remember the actress's name, but she really took the role of Princess Leia and made it her own in a way that's, in terms of acting chops, a little bit wise beyond her years.
Yeah. She
you can see this little girl growing up to be the Princess Leia we know.
Oh, easily. Vivian Blair.
Vivian Blair. Okay. Vivian Blair.
Yeah, and that was the great thing. I'll go with you a little. I felt like some parts that she was.
Did it have to be Leia? Right? Couldn't it have just been some other kidnapping? Or, I guess if we're going to get into Uber narrative and stuff like that, the fact that Obi-Wan knows this is Darth Vader's kid compels him to act. But I don't know.
Could be. I was fine with. I was fine with the young Leia. There was only a few times.
I'm nitpicking a little bit, and I'm nitpicking just because there wasn't a lot about that show that I was like, man, that sucked, or whatever, or I would do this differently. It was really good.
Yeah.
Really
From
good.
the writing, the production, the cast.
Dude.
The casting was spot on.
Yeah. O'Shea Jackson Jr., Ice Cube's son as Rokor. Hell
Yeah.
yes. Straight out of Star Wars, I guess.
Yeah, straight out of Star
Wars. Please let us see this character again. I need more Ice Cube in Star Wars. Ice Cube Jr.
Now
you mentioned the lighting, Mike.
Yeah.
Man, that first duel between Obi-Wan and Vader, where it's night and they're out in the middle of it's just their lightsabers lighting it. Oh my god, that was shot well.
Yeah. And then there was one, I think it was in 6, where they're on Vader's fighter, and they're panning away. And they got the glass, and it's just Vader's like half or like a quarter reflection in the glass, but nothing else is coming from behind Vader. So it's like this eerie kind of backup close-up shot.
I might need to go back and watch that because I'm having trouble picturing the shot.
That is, it's either in 5 or 6.
Okay.
But I think, well, actually, it might be. Hold on, 5 or 6 is right. Well, what episode did they jam the roof? Was that 5?
Jam the roof
in the hideaway when Vader found him.
Oh yeah, that's 5.
Is that 5? So that shot might be 5.
Okay.
I think that's when they were approaching, and they were starting to jam everything.
Okay, I got you.
That shot was another one. And not to mention,
that's the episode where Reva's duplicitousness is revealed.
Big word. Another you're shouting out some big words even last week.
That's kind of funny. 2 episodes in a row I've said masturbate now. It's like Kevin Smith is in the house.
Yeah.
Like I just need to gain like another 150 pounds, be a famous director, lose 200 pounds, become a podcaster, sometime director with a huge nerd fan base.
Yeah.
And I'll be the next Kevin Smith. Except I'm 41 and he was in his 20s when all that stuff.
Yeah, it's
your age is my life is not that cool. But it's cool in its own way.
But you live in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Horses and chaps and spurs and all sorts of cool shit.
There are horses like right a stone's throw away from my house, actually.
Dope. I like horses.
Yeah, there's a little
horse kind of cool.
Little stable like birthday party place, and there's ponies and horses and things like that. Yeah. But back to Star Wars. So I mean, we've definitely proven with Obi-Wan that they can still go to the old stuff and mine new gold in it. But you can only go back to the well so many times, right? And I think that's where, for comparative sake, Chad. I want those in Star Wars. Kevin Smith's Star Wars must never be a thing that actually happens. Let him remain.
It has to happen. Please,
no, it must not. But so you can only go back to the well so many times, right?
Sure.
And I think when you look at The Mandalorian, by contrast, that's a good sign that there's other types of stories that can and really should be told in the Star Wars universe in order to help keep it fresh. Go ahead.
No, sorry, I didn't mean to step on your words.
Well,
but
with no movies actively on the slate, I mean, it seems to me like the future of Star Wars, at least for now, is on Disney Plus.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that, because once again, the House of Mouse, Marvel, however you want to put it, Well, I mean, it really started with Marvel, with the series and all that stuff. And you found out that those little extensions and those little plugs here and there, as I said before, they just bolster everything. They just bolster the product.
Yeah.
And the great thing with Kenobi is where it ended. It's fine.
It is.
I don't think you need. You could possibly.
He goes to that ravine,
right,
where Luke meets him in A New Hope.
Yeah.
So that right there closes his story.
Right. And like I read a couple times where Ewan McGregor, said, they haven't discussed a season 2, but he said he'd be open in returning to a season 2 if it should have come up.
Great.
Right.
I got to put a few gray highlights in his hair this time, though.
Right. You got to do something.
A man clearly aged, but you got to get to that Sir Alec level.
Right.
Of gray. By the time Luke is how old is Luke supposed to be? 19, I think.
I was gonna say like early 20s, maybe 19.
I'm pretty sure he's 19.
Think he's that young?
In A New Hope. But yeah. Gotta age that man up a little bit more.
Yeah.
I gotta give them props too for finally giving Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru something to do other than die.
Right? Like they all they were good for was dying off scene. And they were legends. They took on a Darth Maul and Boba Fett and Efont Man and all that stuff. They're legends, and they died. That's how legends die, apparently, right? But yeah, it was cool just to see it. Just to see them kind of rise up, and I think there might have been a slight, and this could be just me reaching, I don't know, but maybe a poke to current political situations. So yeah, but it was a good touch, and I think the biggest thing, the most important thing with series like this is knowing when to stop, knowing what that stopping point is and being okay with it and going, let's go tell something else.
Like we've successfully milked the Skywalker saga.
Done.
Right?
Let's go do something else.
Let's go make a Western with space bounty hunters now.
Right. Or give me something with Christian, or give me some Sabine Wren. Give me something.
Well, I'll tell you what I would love to see them do. Is actually, and this goes back to Barry in the comments bringing up the Solo movie, which is kind of widely panned as the weakest Star Wars movie. I don't agree with that, but it just kind of is what it is, right? But as you'll recall, that movie ended with the cliffhanger, with the return of Darth Maul and Han Solo's boo, I forgot her name, taking over the crime syndicate. That's the type of thing that would be like, you don't even have to bring back Han Solo and Chewie to tell that story. You can just tell that story, and now you've got some badassery. Right? Now we can do a Star Wars crime drama, or whatever that equivalent is.
I am here for that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It sucks because we knew from Clone Wars that Darth Maul survived getting cut in half, which is funny to say, but it had never actually been done on film. So the story of Snaggletooth.
That's right. Charles Lee is doing that story.
Hell yeah, he is.
So Charles Lee can write the shit out of some stuff.
Hammerhead must be next.
Yeah.
Max Rebo. But right? There's a wealth of storytelling potential in the Star Wars universe. And it's because it's built, Mike, on these really easy to understand concepts, right? There's a wizard, there's a young knight, there's an evil king, there's a dark knight, not Batman. There's a princess, There's a dashing rogue and his sidekick. Like, these are very easy to, at the end of the day, for all of its everything, Star Wars comes down to these really simple to understand storytelling archetypes. And that's why I think it keeps working. That's why we keep finding new ways to tell stories in it.
Well, there's a formula too. I mean,
yeah, it lends itself to formula.
Star Wars is such a sandbox. It's criminal if, you keep doing, Luke and Leia and Han and Chewie and all this stuff, when you have, you got the Clone Wars series, you can, in a sense, bring, continue stuff from there. You can Rebels, you have, the Bad Batch, you have all this other stuff. You have Thrawn, you have so much other stuff to get into. Darth Bane, all this stuff. Dare someone tell, the Ben Solo story? Come on,
Yeah, most definitely. So
there's tons, and I can't understand why fans aren't like just foaming at the mouth for all this stuff and just taking all this stuff.
I was thinking about that because you'll run into these conversations on Facebook or Twitter or whatever, wherever, social media, with people just bitching about the dumbest things. And I'm just like, man, you spoiled ass nerds.
Right.
You have forgotten how lucky we are to have this stuff. Like, you and I, Mike, we can clearly recall a day when superhero film was declared dead because of bat nipples.
Okay. I thought it was Dolph Lundgren as the Punisher. By the way, still a great movie. Not as great as Howard the Duck, but
Oh Lord, here we go with that again. But
Cleveland.
We really, even like the last 10 years compared to, say, the 10 years that came after Spider-Man in 2002, right? Like, it's just this embarrassing wealth of awesome shit to choose from that so many of us never thought we'd get to see on screen. Never could have imagined we'd see on screen. Guardians of the Galaxy.
Right? Yeah, come on, right?
Come on. And the same holds true for Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like, Mike, I'll bring my son up to this because he was not born yet when Phantom Menace came out, but there is unobjectively no comparison for the lead up to that movie. It was you remember this, man. Phantom Menace stuff was just everywhere. It was, oh my God, new Star Wars? What? The story of how Anakin became Darth Vader. Like, this is stuff we just only imagined, right? And the anticipation and the cultural buildup was just no comparison today. Nothing.
Right.
Absolutely nothing.
And the worst part about all that buildup was, folks, in a sense, and not to keep going back to the toxicity, but this is where, to me, I think it was kind of, I don't want to say it's worse than what it is today because social media elevates it, but like the backlash that people that enjoyed it was nuts.
I agree with you. It was a pure. I saw that movie. I saw Phantom Menace 4 times in theaters, and it wasn't until that 4th time that the sheer adrenaline rush wore off, and I was like, "Wait a minute, this movie has some problems," and it didn't matter at the time. Like, new Star Wars, dude, and so it goes. People got to be grateful. People should be grateful to get the things that they get because, Disney's not going anywhere.
No,
but
this is our future president.
Our country is, and you might not be able to go to see a movie anymore in theaters because the Republic of Florida has declared that Disney can't make movies where two chicks kiss anymore briefly.
Right.
Or whatever, because it rots the moral compass of the stuff. And but it's been a week, Mike. It's been a couple weeks.
So I know. Let's talk about that next week.
Next week,
pretty cool shit to bring up.
Drink lots of alcohol and talk about the decline, the rapid decline of the United States.
We can do 6
next
rounds
on the Comic Watcher show. But in all seriousness, man, I mean, I absolutely adored this series. I mean, I honestly want to just like take an afternoon and binge it. I don't have time for that. Don't get me wrong, but
and the great thing is,
the want is there because I enjoyed it.
Yeah, and the great thing is I said before, I think it's such a great plug and play with the prequels. I think, honestly, I'm gonna put it up there with the Clone Wars and Rebels as right, top shelf.
Okay.
Now we could argue 1, 2, and 3 with those, but and I'm a huge Boba Fett stan. I love the book of Boba Fett. I think it's dope. I think the Mandalorian's dope. It's not Obi-Wan dope, but they're still dope. But I think Obi-Wan, just with writing and casting and cinematography, I just think it's the more complete package than what we've got so far. Which I'm not saying anything negative about Book of Boba Fett, Mandalorian, Bad Batch, stuff like that, because I love it all. But I Clone Wars, Rebels, Obi-Wan, and I probably wouldn't even disagree with anyone's rating of 1, 2, and 3 with those. But plus Obi-Wan has such great rewatchability, if that's a word.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so fun. I think it's fun. It's fun. It's me watching New Hope as a teenager fun.
Yeah, I can get behind that.
Yeah.
I hate to spoil the end of the series for anyone, but at this point we spoiled everything else. But how nice was it to see Qui-Gon again?
Right? Chills.
It was just that brief little moment. But man, Ewan and Liam Neeson just clicked so well. That brief little scene, they were two old friends catching up unexpectedly again.
Yeah,
I loved it. And I loved it because it fulfilled that dangling plot thread for Revenge of the Sith, where Yoda's like, "Hey, I have training for you." So connect with Qui-Gon, you will. But that was a nice little touch. It was good. But
okay.
At the end of the day, I mean, I think Star Wars can go in about 100 different directions at once. I'm actually starting to feel like, based upon the 2 seasons of The Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett, and now this, that Disney might actually have a big plan for where they want to take this thing in the future, because there's obviously a lot more to be done with the child. Baby, who is not Baby Yoda. But
Al is never going to come home, so it doesn't matter.
No, but so it goes. At the end of the day, this series was great.
Yes.
I think it warmed our fanboy hearts.
Did.
And Star Wars rules. So deal with it. Just deal with it. Okay, well, that is the end of our show. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Mike, thank you for hanging out with me. Anytime. But as we alluded to, more than once throughout the show. Things are getting kind of bad out there. And by kind of bad, I mean, oh my God, in a very quick amount of time. So I'm going to forego my usual closing thing and say, get your ass out there and fucking vote like your freedoms depend on it. Because if the last 2 weeks have shown us anything, they do. The bad guys, the Empire, are not fucking around. They want control. They do not want democracy. They want an authoritarian, Christo-fascist autocracy. And the only thing that's going to stop that from happening is if people get off their ass and vote. So,
because once it's set in, folks, it's not going to get up.
No, it's not. So, all right, we will see you next week on that happy note. We are. That's Mike and I'm Matt, and we are the Comic Watchers. This is our show. Thank you so much.